One of the top questions for investors is, what are the best stocks to invest in right now? It's actually the wrong way to approach it. The better question is, what are the best stocks in each sector and which ones should I buy right now? The reason why is because you want a good diversified portfolio, especially in a time like this. So what are those stocks? Let's go ahead and break it down. There are 11 official sectors designated by I want to get this right, the GICS. All right, so I'm going to go through each one, tell you which ones I like and why. Let's start off with communication. They can classify communication pretty broadly. For example, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. I guess the WhatsApp part makes sense, but Meta does classify as a communication stock, but it ain't the best one in my eyes. That would be Netflix, which also classifies as a communications company. Netflix, though, is up 32% in the last 6 months and up 92% in the last year. I told y'all about Netflix. Told y'all about Netflix, man. I be knowing stuff, all right? I be knowing things. All right, next is a real estate company that is Welltower. You need real estate according to just diversification standards in general. Welltower is up 13% in the last 6 months and up 43% over the last year. Generally, though, adding either a REIT or some real estate companies is pretty solid because you want something that is relatively inflation and tariff resistant, and sometimes real estate can be that thing. So it is good to kind of have something like that in your portfolio. I'll also note this. In a space like this, in just stock market in general, you're not always going to find an even balance here. There are way more tech stocks that are doing well than real estate companies that are doing well right now. So it was difficult to find one for each of these. Throwing it out there as we go through, you'll see why. Next up, we have healthcare. Cardinal is where I am going. That stock symbol is CAH. Cardinal is up 24% in the last 6 months and up 55% over last year. They do surgical equipment. I have an affinity for companies that sell surgical equipment and healthcare services. I like to think that healthcare companies, I mean, obviously they're needed, obviously, right? But healthcare companies, I have said this before, I try to always have some healthcare companies in my portfolio because whether it is a pharmaceutical company or equipment company or whatever, it's something you're going to need at all times. For me, it's Zyrtec. I need some Zyrtec. Okay, so while I may not invest in the maker of Zyrtec or something like that, or Flonase for that matter, I need that too. But you get the point in that you want to have something that people are absolutely going to need, whether it is in good times or bad. For surgery is not something you can just, I'll get it next time. It's like, no, you might need that now. Okay, so Cardinal is one that's on my list, CAH. That might be one I add to my portfolio come June, depending on how my current healthcare company is doing within my portfolio. Quick time out. I know we've been talking a lot about investing today. However, if you don't know where to start or you haven't started yet, I have a free guide on how you can buy your first stock in just 20 minutes. To get that free guide, check out the link right here. All right, back to the video. Next is utilities, and we got an oldie but goodie that has come back because they had a surge in the last month or so, and that is NRG. Been holding that one for a very long time now. At least it feels like a very long time. If it ain't a year, then we're up on a year and a half, I think, since we are now in June. It's up 58% in the last 6 months and up 101% over the last year. Like I said, we be knowing over here. My process is my process because I know things. I was not in the top 100 most influential advisors for no reason. Just throwing it out there. I may not be, the most popular person in the world, but I be knowing things. All right, industrials. Now, I don't really like the term industrials because it doesn't really tell me anything, but companies that make stuff, big trucks and stuff. Okay, so to give you a better picture, that is a company like John Deere. John Deere is up 17% in the last 6 months and up 41% over last year. I used to invest in John Deere maybe in 2021-ish, and I think it did okay for a time at that point. Honeywell is the one you've heard me talk more about, and that is up 48% in the last 6 months and up 110% over the last year. I think both can do well. I side more with Honeywell, the one I currently have money in for obvious reasons. So either one can do. One is obviously performing better than the other. look and see which one works best for you. Next, we have the materials sector, which is the raw materials that go into those things. And we have Newmont Corporation, NEM is the stock symbol there. They're up 29% in the last 6 months, up 31% over the last year. Now, I will say, looking at this one, this is one of those where it's like I had to find something, and this one was a little volatile. Now, the returns are the returns. Okay, that's math. Okay, we don't have to argue about whether or not, the time I'm doing this video anyway, we don't have to argue whether or not the returns are there. It's just a matter of, you know, is it a smooth track up, as smooth as we can be in the stock market, or is it jagged, where there are high ups and low downs? That part is the concern for me. So it wasn't the easiest ride to 31% in the last year, but they did still make money in the last year. So Newmont Corporation in the material sector. As we move over to energy, we have EQT Corporation. The ticker symbol is EQT, which is what we would expect. Now, I also say that some of these categories, you know, I would say they're loose categories, because some companies can fall into one or two of these. Like, I would classify NRG as a utility, but also energy. In my mind, they've always been in energy, but in this case, they fell under utilities. But in either case, EQT is up 28% in the last 6 months, up 36% over the last year. Now we move into consumer staples. Consumer staples are things that you gotta have it. Okay, what you consider things that you have to have, totally up to you. Now, for me, I didn't find too many stocks that fell into this category that met my definition, because my thing is, here's my rule, okay? Just for the people who don't know, I think the members know, people who have been in my courses, they know, okay? If I wouldn't consider putting my money in it, I wouldn't talk about it, okay? I certainly wouldn't get up on camera. It is what it is, okay? So CocaCola, so one, I didn't find any stocks that I would put my own money into. So I'm just go ahead and say that. But Coca-Cola showed up on the list. I don't think that Coca-Cola met my personal standard, but it did make money. Somebody also in the comments on my dividend video last week also said that they didn't care and that they liked Coca-Cola and they invested in it. So, and it also pays a solid dividend, does Coca-Cola. So, it makes money, it pays a solid dividend, it's been paying a solid dividend for a very long time. Does it meet my standard? Does it get the building bread seal of approval, which is probably not worth much according to some people? No, it doesn't meet my standard, but it did make money and it does fit in that category. Take that for what you want, okay? Just throwing that one out there. Then we move into consumer discretionary. Discretionary meaning you can pay for it if you want it. You don't necessarily have to have it. All right, that moves us into a stock we've talked about a few times before, and that is eBay. I may or may not have spent a little too much time on eBay. 23% gain in the last 6 months and up 48% over last year. I've talked about eBay enough. I haven't done an entire video about it, but it's been featured in enough lists where I don't think I need to repeat myself there. And now we move into the tech category. Technology has ruled our lives and ruled the stock market for a number of years. I would say probably 80% of the time, maybe 85% of the time, the tech category has been the top performing category. I'm not going to give you the cliche names here. Probably two you don't expect are here that made the criteria, made the list for me. The first was IBM. Yeah, that IBM. IBM up 13% in the last 6 months, up 59% in the last year. I think I mentioned IBM just once this year, maybe twice this year. Stock that is really underrated. So it's on the map now. It's on the map, and if I remember correctly, they pay a dividend. I'm not gonna say it's big because I don't remember off the top of my head, but they do pay. I'm sure that they pay a dividend. If I missed it, I'll put a correction on the screen. An alternative there, if you don't want to go the IBM route, is CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is up 28% in the last 6 months and up 34% over the last year. Now, all of these together can make a very, very good diversified portfolio, but there was a bit of a weakness, if you want to call it that. These are all very big, well-known corporations, but there are some that think that you should also add some smaller companies called small caps to give you another layer of diversification. If you want to know what some of the best small cap companies are, you want to check out this video right here.